And he said, no, delete that, change it, make it to this. And I said, okay, sure. Why? He goes, well, they might be living under our oceans. And I was like, okay, can you elaborate a little bit? He's like, no.
Newly released video taken on board the USS Omaha shows an unidentified flying object hovering over the Pacific Ocean and then disappearing below the water's surface. The video recorded inside the Omaha's command center in July 2019. It was pitch black outside, so what you're seeing is thermal imagery of the mystery object. Once it was under the water, it vanished from the Omaha's radar and sonar. No wreckage was ever found.
It appears to be descending into the water from the air without destruction.
So why are we seeing these things around in and around water is something that we're really kind of scratching our heads with, because we've seen these things. They've been recorded not only in our atmosphere, but there is data to suggest that they have also been tracked by some of our capabilities underwater as well, and being able to perform in ways that frankly exceed anything that we know on the planet right now.
He says he's going on there and they're getting this thing hooked up, and as he's looking down, you know, because they're, I don't know what, 50 feet above the water, he sees kind of this dark mass coming up from the depths. And they start to hoist the diver up, and they've got the BQM, and as they hoist it up, he says, and he's looking at this thing going, what the hell is that? And then it just goes back down underwater. It just like, once they pull the kid and the BQM out of the water, this object descends back into the depths. So he thinks, well, that was pretty weird. So he goes out, he says, not too long later, you know, a few months later, he's out and he's picking up a torpedo. So he says they hook the diver up on the winch and they're lowering him in, and as he's looking down, he sees this big, massive, he goes, it's not a submarine. He's seen submarines before. Once you see a submarine, you can't confuse it with something else. This big object, you know, kind of circular, he says, is coming up from the depths, and he starts screaming through the intercom system to tell him to pull the diver up, and the diver's like a few feet from the water. So they reverse the winch, and the diver's thinking, what the hell's going on? And he's getting pulled up, and all of a sudden, he said the torpedo just got sucked down underwater, and the object just descended back down into the depths, and they never recovered the torpedo.
Jesus.
And this happened in the late 90s.
And the pilots are flying off the coast, off the Atlantic seaboard, and see essentially a black triangle, white sort of indicator lights on its peripheral tips coming out of the water very quickly, and then accelerating at extremely high speed at about a 90-degree angle. And one of the pilots took a photo, very good photo, I'm told, by multiple sources on his iPhone. And myself and Tim McMillan, who really led the charge in this investigation, have sort of tied it down. So I think the real point of note on this is that this phenomenon, whatever it is, continues to occur.
It came out of the water. So expound on that a little bit. There have been over the years a number of reports of unidentified underwater vehicles moving in ways that don't make any sense at all. Tell us what you know about that.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons the Navy is very sensitive about this topic, is because it essentially doesn't want either China or Russia in particular to figure out whatever these vehicles are, because they appear to be intelligently controlled, figure out how they do what they do, because they move at hundreds of knots under the water, or at least they can, and they maneuver in ways that would essentially render a submarine or an aircraft carrier or any, quite frankly, military warship extremely vulnerable to attack. And the capabilities, because of what we understand in terms of friction under the water, right, that these things manifest, and then what they do in the air as well, you know, this is some special stuff, whatever it is.
Well, a bullet doesn't travel hundreds of knots an hour.
Right.
an hour underwater for long. I mean, I don't think any human-made object ever has. We've never imagined something like that. So what could be the explanation?